It's John, and I wanted to go through this week's slate of games a little later than usual. Usually I try and get it out no later than like 8 o'clock, but kind of a hectic week and weekend. But anyway, yeah, so Jets won. We didn't pick that one. I think anyone that kind of uses my logic would have gone Jets just because them being minus 2.5 made no sense. But again, I still believe they're going to make the playoffs. So anyway, there's that. We got Dolphins, Bills, and the Bills have been on quite of a heater here. I think they were 2-0 and then 0-2. I think they've won four straight now. And each week I kind of feel like, okay, like last week they were only 3-point favorites. I thought it was fishy against the Seahawks, but they easily covered. Same deal against the Titans. But I'm going to fade them again. I think they're going to have a couple losses people aren't expecting. With Tua back, I actually wonder if the Dolphins win this game, but I'm going to go with the Dolphins with the 6.5 points. Broncos, Ravens, I like the Ravens for the cover. Earlier in the year, the two teams that looked like were going to the playoffs, Vikings and Broncos, and you can argue they still do, but I just, in my playoff video, kind of went into why I think both of them are actually going to miss the playoffs. Broncos are a little more obvious. I think they're going to go on a pretty extended losing streak. I don't see them finishing with much more than, they might finish something like 8-9, but I just don't think they're going to come close to a wild card. So I think the Ravens established themselves in this game. I thought they would last couple weeks, but been a little inconsistent. But I do like them minus the 9.5 here. Chargers, Browns here. This one's an interesting one. A loss for the Chargers doesn't really hurt them too much. They'll still be fine for fighting for a wild card. And I think the line's a little weird, so I'm actually going to go with the Browns here just to win straight up. Panthers, Saints. I think they're talking about trading Bryce Young. That should be interesting. And again, I mean, 7 points, kind of heavy. I feel like just because the Saints haven't looked that good. But I do think they're going to keep them somewhat in it. So when they play the Bucs and Falcons again down the road, it has some stakes to it. Or even some wild card games. I think they're basically out, but they might keep them in it. So I think they win. Just a matter of if they cover. And I have a feeling it's going to be a close game. So I'm going to take the Panthers for the cover here. Raiders, Bengals. I'm going to go with the Bengals for the cover. Again, it could be a close win. But Bengals along with the Jets, I think they're going to make the playoffs. I really do. With the new format, it's really not that inconceivable for a team that's 3-5 to get in, just because you got 7 seeds and there's a myriad of teams the Bengals are going to play that might have a game or two up on them, but the Bengals win that game and all of a sudden they're right in there. So I'll take the Bengals to win and to cover. Giants, again, always getting these weird lines. Just don't make sense to me. It would be an interesting story to have the Commanders move to 7-2. Have the lead the division by a couple games. But at the same time, I just can't imagine they're going to keep paying out people fading the Giants. And with these spreads lately, I feel like a lot of people are fading the Giants. I'm going to take the Giants. I'm going to take them to cover. I think the Commanders can still win, extend the streak, get to 7-2. I'm leaning Giants win, but just to be safe, I'm taking the Giants +4 here. Cowboys-Falcons. Initially, I do like the Cowboys just because, again, I think America's given up on them, which is the reason I have them go into the Super Bowl. And even if they lose 3-5, again, I think they'll get in. But I think if you have too many teams, in the AFC, you got the Jets, you got the Bengals, you could argue the Jags. Then on the NFC, you got the Cowboys here. There's a few other teams. The Bears might be one of them. If you have too many teams that are kind of behind, again, it's going to be really hard to have them all go on winning streaks. So even though I feel like as bad as they've played, I still think 3.5 is a little much. I feel like just because overall it should be closer to a pick'em even in Atlanta. But either way, I think the Dallas Cowboys win this game, so I'll take them straight up. Patriots-Titans, this one again, hard to pick because they both suck so bad. I lean Titans, so I'm going to take them to cover the 3. Simply because I have a feeling a few more people might be on the Patriots just because Drake May. And I could be wrong, but the Titans really have nobody. And at least the Patriots have like a young, exciting quarterback who I believe didn't they just beat the Jets? So I mean, there's something going there. Whereas the Titans have just been getting creamed every week. So I got the Titans -3. Bears-Cardinals. This one is interesting because again, weeks ago I predicted that the Jets coach would be fired. He was fired the next day. So we're gonna make a second prediction. I'm gonna take the Bears to win just because I think they want to keep the NFC North nice and close. Even if they lose, I think they get in the wild card. But my prediction here is going to be if the Bears lose, 100% Matt Eberflus gets fired. I just don't think when you have an exciting team, new quarterback, all these things, just a bum head coach that really isn't memorable is going to be around for the playoffs. So I think they fire him. There's already talks about guys like Jay Cutler and former Bears players, or just names that are more recognizable. So yeah, I really wouldn't be surprised if they lost because of him and then he got fired. But for the playoff ramifications and for a few other reasons, I like the Bears to win. So my official pick is Bears, but you heard it here first. If they lose, he's fired. Jags, Eagles. Pretty heavy spread. And the Eagles have been on a little bit of a run. Again, I said this before, and it's starting to look like it might happen. Jags' first overall pick looks pretty likely. They're moving to London, so they either move on from Lawrence or, they snag Travis Hunter or something, and then they got Lawrence and they got some weapons on offense, defense, wherever he winds up playing. So I like the theory of Jags getting the first overall pick. So I got the Eagles winning. Do they cover? I'm going to say yeah. Just so, again, as these division matchups come down these next couple weeks, games like Eagles, Commanders, whenever they play again, I think they played one so far, not positive, or even just outside games where Eagles are playing, say, Niners, just two good teams. The Eagles look pretty strong if they pound the Jags here and they're on a nice little winning streak. So I'll take the Eagles -7.5, and also I think not a lot of the public's going to be wanting to take that. Lions, Packers. This one I like the Lions. I'll take them to cover. Again, Packers winning is interesting, of course, because you have these two in a nice little race, but I don't think they're going to have the Bears fall too far behind. So I think, again, the division, the Lions division, and then the wild card teams are going to come down to Packers, Bears, Vikings. You're going to have the Falcons or Bucks and a few other teams. So to me, for the wild card to be a little more engaging, I think it's going to be Lions win this game. So I'll take them to cover. Rams, Seahawks. Same kind of theory here. I got the Rams covering. Keeps it all nice and close. A lot of these teams will just be a game or two out. The Seahawks win isn't gonna kill the Rams or kill the wild card, but I think they want to keep it as close as they can for a while. So I'll take the Rams here for the cover, move to 500, and then the Seahawks would be 4-5. Colts-Vikings. In this one, I like the Colts to win outright. I really don't believe in the Vikings. I haven't all year. And again, I brought this up before when they were like 4-0, and it didn't seem that likely. 5-3. Now they're only like one game from being, bumped to like the 7th seed or maybe even out of the playoffs. So a lot of games left. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Also, I feel like there might be a little bit of redemption here because if you remember a couple years ago, I think it was in London that the Vikings were losing like 31-3 or something against the Colts. Came all the way back and won. Seemed very scripted. And yeah, they got Flacco in for the Colts, so they might want to start that story up again with, how he did it with the Browns last year. So yeah, for a few different reasons, I think the Colts are going to win this game outright. And I'll cover Monday night. Bucks and Chiefs have a lot of tie-ins. So, you think of Brady, you think of the Super Bowl. But I don't see them stopping the train now with the Chiefs. Although I do see a close game. I think it'll be kind of close to like when they played the Falcons, and I don't think they beat them by that much. So I think the Chiefs are going to win, but I am taking the Bucs to cover. It's a heavy cover, but the Bucs haven't looked great, and the Chiefs have been, running through the entire league. So I do think the Chiefs improved to 8-0. Just so again, it's just reminding me of the MJ super team. But I think the Bucs cover this spread here. So yeah, I think again as the weeks go on, it's going to be a little more obvious. Certain teams just won't be able to lose. The Jets are a perfect example of that. They just couldn't lose this game, and I said that last week, but this week literally they would have probably had to win out the rest of their games, and then probably got help on top of it. Now with the win against the Texans, they're kind of right back in it. Just a couple game winning streak would do it for them. So, I mean, even obviously they're not going to win the division, but they could pull a couple things and have it where it's closer than people think. But I think they go on a little bit of a streak, especially knocked off CJ. And yeah, Jets, Chargers, all those teams I think are going to be in the wild card race. And then Bengals, yeah. So they're another one. If the Bengals lose, they'd essentially have to win out, which could happen, sure. But if you have too many teams at 3-6 and whatever it is, 2-7, it's just gonna be a bunch of teams having to go on winning streaks, or by week 15, we're gonna basically know the playoffs. I try and pick it like I pick WrestleMania. If you watch wrestling, then like certain guys have to win for the matchup to make any sense. That's how we picked the end of last year, and it worked out really well. So yeah, those are the picks, and I got a couple upsets in there. The Colts one I really like, just because of the value, the story, the fact most of the public's probably going to be on the Vikings at home against an old Joe Flacco. And there's a few other ones I like. Like I said, Browns looks like a trap. I think a lot of people are going to be on the Chargers. And Giants here usually let me down, but I think they get it done. Again, I think the cover's safer, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants won this game. So, should be a good day tomorrow. I would have got it out a little bit earlier, but like I said, ran a little bit late today. And I know I did say it, but it crept up on me, the NBA season. And so my first video for the NBA is going to be playoffs, just so we can get that out of the way. That will definitely be tomorrow. I'm going to put that out tomorrow at some point, because I know who I like. And then while I cover that, I'll probably go into, the following day's plays while I'm at it. And then I'll do my best to get NBA plays out there, because it's funny, people seem to like the not funny, I guess. I always considered football the bigger sport, but more people seem to like the NBA videos than the NFL ones. And I think it's because maybe the NBA is a little more like WWE. I mean, you just look at Braun and Bronny. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous. And you get stuff like that all the time in the NBA. So they do it in the NFL, but I think the NBA emulates WWE even more than the NFL does. So yeah, I'll have that out tomorrow. Take care and happy earnings.